Mr. Smith, what is the first letter that I must send out in order to start getting my credit restored and disputing items off of my credit report? What up? You got Mr. Smith, point five of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And in this brief video, I want to tell you just that, because that's a question that I often get. What is the first step? What is the first thing that I must do in order to dispute? And before I get into the first part of the steps and why you should take this process, I just want to preface it a little bit and kind of give some disclaimers that many people might not often share, especially credit restoration companies, people who repair your credit. A lot of times they don't share this information, but that's the purpose of me sharing it with you. I want to differentiate myself from those so you can understand that, look, credit is something that should be taken on from a holistic angle. And many people only focus on disputing and getting things removed. That's great. But a lot of times disputing and getting things removed only serves to focus on one factor of credit. Credit consists of 5 factors. And if you only focus on one factor, then you leave 4 off of the table. Now, one thing that credit disputing does do in many cases is get things off that are affecting your payment history. So it may affect your credit score from a 35% standpoint, meaning it helps 35% of your credit score. But what about the other 65? So I want you to understand that the other 65% of your credit score does matter. And if you take a holistic approach to restoring your credit, then guess what? 100% of your credit score has the potential to be being increased as you tackle restoring your credit. So that being said, just to kind of preface it, we actually do help people restore their credit. That is something that we do, but it wasn't always that way. Initially, we just were doing the right things in order to have our credit score intact. And since the queen isn't with me right now, she's been doing a lot of things pertaining to fashion. So I'm just taking over the channel and putting as much content on here as possible, because I want to give as much value as possible and educate as much as possible. And credit is the area where I want to spend a little more focus on, because I want people to be astute in that area of credit. It's a lot of people talking about it in terms of educating, but some people I think are leaving some information out. And I want to put it out there just because I feel like we have one of the most transparent educational programs that we ran as a credit challenge. But when a person watches it and sees it, they're able to get some amazing results from that program alone. And we were giving that out for free, which led to people wanting to get access to the DIY program that we offer inexpensively. And then many people are like, look, I don't have the time. I respect your knowledge, but I'd rather pay you to do it. And if that's the case, then we welcome that as well. So we just started literally on our own self, just doing normal things. So I had, probably back in 2015, 14, whatever, we did a video and we showed our credit scores, just showed the world our credit scores. I had 2 credit scores that were in the 800. It was like an 804, maybe an 811 credit score. And then the other one was like a 793, something like that. So I had 2 credit scores in the 800 other than the 790. Very high credit score just from doing things the right way. And this was before I understood leveraging credit. I was just doing certain things the right way. And because of it, we were able to purchase our home in little to no time. The person who actually was selling the home for us, or who actually helped us with the buying process of the home, was like, man, your credit score has been good. Why haven't you been bought a home? Because the process was so seamless and smooth for him as well as me. It was just a quick process due to having great credit. Well, transition, we start educating on credit because the financial program that we partnered up with was teaching people ways to keep more of their income, ways to pay off debt faster. As a result, it started boosting their credit score. But people were also interested in getting their credit restored by removing certain things. So our program opened up an opportunity for people to learn exactly how to do it themselves, step by step, in providing documents, letters, the laws that go along with restoring your credit, the whole 9. So we start educating so people can get an understanding of it. And as a return or as a result, they either got some value from the free information we were giving out, or they wanted to buy the DIY program that showed them step by step how to better their own credit. Fast forward, people started getting results. We got a ton of testimonies just off of the free content we were given, as well as people who were benefiting from the DIY program. And people kept asking all the time, hey, can you fix our credit? We value your information, but can you fix our credit? Will you? And for a while, we were blocking. Nah. Nah. We wouldn't do it. But I was like, okay, obviously people trust us more than some of the people that they've been bamboozled by because they had paid some people, they just didn't get the results. And there's some big companies out there that they paid that were getting them slower results than our free information was getting them. So that said a lot. So it just developed a passion of me saying, you know what? I have a heart for people and I really want to empower people in a way that they may not be receiving it elsewhere. So I went ahead and started opening my doors to credit restoration and getting things in place and having the right system so I can make sure the onboarding process and the experience for the client is great, along with them getting the credit score that they desire and deserve. Now, that's the preface, that's the history, and I know I spoke a lot on that because you came to this video to find out what the first letter is or what the first thing you should do when restoring your credit. First thing, of course, you got to pull your credit and be able to monitor. You need to be able to see what's all on there because so many people I talk to, believe it or not, they have no idea of what's all on their credit. They just say, yeah, I got a couple of credit cards, I got this bill, and then when they pull up their credit report, they're like, whoa. Yeah, this stuff is stuff that I'm familiar with, or I may not be familiar with it, but why is this showing negative if I paid this off? Why is this showing this way if I did this? It's a lot of things that's showing up derogatory on their report that shouldn't be. And if it's showing up as negative on your report, then we must dispute it because the laws protect you and allow you to be able to do so. So once you have that in front of you and you're able to see what's all on there, now you want to get the ball rolling on the disputing process. And it really doesn't start off as a dispute. We call it dispute, but the initial letter that you're sending out is not to dispute. You just want to verify the account or have them to verify the account. And what that does is put the credit bureaus in a position that they have the burden of proof to prove that this account even belongs to you. And many people get hung up right here. Some people are just under the impression that, well, I think I did have that account or that account was mine. But you still want them to verify because if they don't verify the account, even though you had, a knowing of that being yours, you might realize on the back end that it was some improper things being done, sometimes illegal things being done on the back end that has it, even though it's on your credit report, it's some illegal things that shouldn't have been done on the back end that could cause it to be removed from your credit report, that can cause the inaccuracies to be removed from your credit report due to the Fair Credit Reporting Act or the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. It's a lot of things that protect you and I as consumers or users of credit, that even if we feel like this debt is something that we acquired or apply for, if they didn't do their part and if they can't prove certain things, then they have to remove certain things. So I want you to keep that in mind. So the first thing that you need to be doing is verifying the account, and they have to make sure that they verify the account. Otherwise, they may need to remove it, because if you can't verify that and you sold my account to a third party and now I'm doing business with this third party that I didn't agree to be doing business with, or it's gone into collections and I didn't agree to go into contract with them, then I need you to verify it. And I don't need you to use the third party source to verify it either. I need you to verify with the initial people that I provided my information to, so I can make sure that they didn't do things and properly sell off my information, which many people do. So if they don't do their part, then definitely you need to get some of this stuff removed. So don't shy away or feel like you're in a vulnerable state or you're less than inferior to them, because sometimes they're not operating appropriately, and because of it, we want to use the laws to your advantage in order to get your score where it needs to be, so you can use that score, leverage that score, buy a home for your family. It just changes your life once you use credit properly and you get your credit on track. So the first thing you need to be doing is sending out that verification letter. We have access to that in our program. I'm sure some that you can look up and find. We have some that we recommend or that we use in our credit restoration program, that the done for you. Basically, when we do credit for people, we have one that we use, and it's one that's available inside of our program. If you want access to either us doing it or the program, cool. But if you're just online and you're just trying to put it all together, then I'm sure you can look up a verification letter that may work for you. So definitely try that. But once you do that, now you get the ball rolling, and it's just a waiting period, because they have 30 to 45 days to respond once you mail it out. And I recommend mailing it, snail mail, yes, versus emailing it, because when you email it, you waive a certain amount of your rights, and there's certain things that they don't have to abide by because you waived your rights by sending an email. So I recommend the snail mail, and many people recommend certified, and I recommend it too, especially if you're doing it yourself. Certified, just so you can keep track of those things. But some people contest, and different people say different things. But I personally recommend certified if you're doing it yourself for certain. And I recommend you verifying it first and foremost before you do anything else. There are other things that you can focus on to get certain things removed, inquiries, but it's the disputes, the accounts that you want to get verified. Now, this is not somebody you're paying monthly. We're talking about closed accounts. We're talking about accounts that are old, that are on your credit report, but the previous 2 years is what matters the most. But have them to verify the accounting. You're sending this directly to the bureaus, and once you do that, you're getting the ball rolling. And there was one other thing I wanted to add that I did not want to forget. Oh yeah, when you're verifying these things, you want to make sure you're including the ID and your billing address. So this will be a good copy of your government issued ID or a utility bill. The ID verifies that it's you because it has your picture. It doesn't matter that the address doesn't match, because a lot of times people's address on the ID doesn't match their current residence. The utility bill is what validates where you currently live. So those two go hand in hand, and you want to send it on that first round because that's what verifies that it is you. Hopefully that makes sense. But the first letter that you need to be sending is the verification letter for many reasons, and you just want to make sure you hold them to the fire and give them the burden of proof that the account belongs to you. That's all I got in this video. Mr. Smith, 0.5 of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, signing out. Stay tuned. Ask questions of anything else that you want me to cover, and I don't mind covering it. I want to elaborate as much as possible. But if I don't know that you have a question, then I just spew out what I feel you may be interested in knowing. And that's a question that I've heard. What do we do first? Why? Who? What? When? Where? How do we access DIY? Can you do it for us? So I wanted to address a couple of those things and give you a little background in the process. Like, subscribe, and do all of the things that you need to do in order to stay tuned to what we have to offer. Mr. Smith, 0.5 of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, signing out.